situation with road safety compared to water safety. And I've always been a big advocate for water safety. We spend so much more, 20 times more on the roads than we do on water safety. The gap is phenomenal. And when it comes to water safety, I don't think we do enough. I think the guys at water safety do a good job, but I don't think they're funded to do enough. They could do a lot more, but they haven't got the funds. So you have to fund them properly. But we're so fixated on speed on the roads, when the truth is it's distracted drivers on the roads. But we put all this effort into trying to save people's lives on the roads, yet up to 100 people die in the water every year. And how much do we spend there? A few $1 million compared to the 60-odd plus million that we spend on the roads and road safety. I think we've got it skewed wrong. We're a country surrounded by water, more than 1 million boats. We love to get out of the water, but you can go and do it today without any checks and balances. You need to know nothing. You can't do that in cars. Daniel Gerrard is with Water Safety New Zealand and joins us now. Does a good job. Daniel, g'day, mate. Nice to have you on the program.
That's music to my ears, what I've been hearing. Thank you for the opportunity, Duncan.
Yeah, well, I mean, I believe in it. I've seen where it can go wrong. Just people with blasé attitudes and no checks and balances, no licensing regime. I still can't believe in 2024 that we have all these licensing regimes around cars and things, and the cops go with the lowest common denominator of speed when it's really distracted drivers. People are driving 100 k's an hour, texting. And no wonder there's an issue. You can go out in the water tomorrow and there are no checks and balances. All it takes is common sense. If you've got common sense, you'll be smart. You'll survive. But not everyone's got that. So how do you see things?
Yeah, that's a challenging one. That's a maritime New Zealand issue. And as you said in your intro, we're stretched so thinly. We've really had to narrow our focus down to the things that we think we can actually make a difference on. And I think as soon as you start talking about legislation and changes within government, we kind of just throw our arms up in the air and go, well, we can write only so many letters. We need to focus on the areas and the things that the data and evidence that we're able to pull together starts to tell us.
And what's it telling you? What's the very latest data? Because I know you guys are data driven, and you have to be. I mean, the world is a better place if we react to data, because data tells you a story.
Yeah, we've really learnt to love and respect and honour what the numbers are telling us, and we've got a predictive model, which it's a horrible thing to sort of say, but this year has been a lower than normal year from a raw number perspective. Halfway through the year, we're sitting on 38 fatalities, still 38 absolute tragedies. But with the Cyclone Gabrielle and flooding last year, it was as high as 53 this time last year. So things are different, but is that because of us, or is that just because of the weather? So then we've started to look into those numbers, and whilst the raw numbers are tracking down, we've still got high-risk groups that are tracking the wrong direction. So Māori and Asian are both overrepresented in our numbers always, but this year when we've seen such a dramatic downturn in overall numbers, they're still tracking up. We're seeing incidents in boats start tracking up again. We're seeing people still swimming and playing at the beach. That's still tracking the wrong direction, even though the overall number is going down. So there are clearly challenges around people's perception of their own ability and what they can and can't do, but there's also some very simple decision-making choices that people aren't making, and that's particularly around weather and taking note of what's on the horizon, or literally, what the app of choice is telling you that day.
We have seen in the last couple of years a couple of big boating tragedies. I'm thinking one in the far north, and also one on the East Coast recently, where weather and forecasting has been it should have been front and centre of mind, and when you're making a decision, it's one of the things that you check, obviously, but it should have been really prioritised and lifted up in terms of its significance on that decision making. Because if you really look at those two cases, the weather wasn't great. No one else was out, and so it's a judgment thing, isn't it? And it's a judgment between life and death, actually. And who's making that judgment? Is it someone else making that judgment for you? And do you know enough about that person's history and background and knowledge. I just think we are so uninformed and not that knowledgeable about the power of the ocean. We just waltz in there. Oh, we'll be right.
I totally agree, but, I can't really speak on the detail of both those situations, but, knowledge is key. We've got a plethora of weather apps, which unfortunately, and I'm guilty of this, I will always find the app that tells me that the weather's going to be good. I want to get out for that fish. So, got 4 apps. This one's telling me it's a 10, the other one's telling me it's a 2. So there's actually something fundamentally wrong with our predictive weather modelling. But, that's something else. We should still have the awareness and knowledge that, should I desperate to get out for a fish, but in actual fact, I want to come home as well. So there is some of that. But, what the data is really driving us towards is 3 pretty simple approaches now. And I guess this is the exciting part for us. It's still a challenge to get those conversations within the beehive, but we want to focus on giving the next generation all the skills and knowledge they need to be safe. So if we can provide those basic aquatic skills to little people, we know over a lifespan they'll be safer and better off, and we've got some numbers just to be released that are starting to demonstrate that. The numbers have told us
what do those numbers show?
Drowning.
What do they show?
We've had a lag in the basically those kids that are now in the secondary school age that used to be that high risk group. If we track back to when Water Skills for Life was really introduced aggressively into schools and into learn to swim environments, we're now seeing a sort of 5 to 6 year lag of where those secondary school kids, that number is now really dropping. So this is information that came to light yesterday when we were doing some reporting. So this is hot off the press and something we're diving far deeper into to be able to publish. But that's one bit of the puzzle, right? That's preparing the next generation. The second bit of the puzzle
so just let me get that clear. I'll just get that clear, Dan. I just want to get that clear if I can. So you've got some fresh data back, which shows that when you work with these kids at an early age, the results are excellent in terms of outcomes and safety and that sort of thing. Is that what it says? So if you put the effort in and the work in, then the data shows that we're saving lives?
Yeah. Now, we're not going to hold our hand on heart to say that it's totally, Water Skills for Life or building those fundamental skills, but there is definitely something around the behaviour and attitude around water of those under 24-year-old previously high-risk individuals. We had 1 fatality last year in that age group, and it's been trending down, for the last 4 to 5 years. So we're really starting to understand that piece of the puzzle now.
Well, they're on their devices, and the devices aren't waterproof, and they can't get off their devices, so they're sitting on the beach. They don't go into the water. It might be a false economy. There are other issues at play.
maybe it's that.
The imbeciles for being on their phones too much. I don't know, but it's really encouraging, isn't it? I mean, I've spoken to you before about this, but that data is encouraging, isn't
it? Yeah. And the information around where people are drowning. So we do know that about 60% of all our drownings occur around sort of 10 black spots across the country. Well, rather than trying to do everything for everybody, let's work with those community and those community leadership groups to work out what the ambition or aspiration for that area is. So a big piece of work going on with Tangata Whenua and the Waikato District Council and DOC around Papanui Point south of Raglan, where over 20 people have drowned fishing off that rock, in the last couple of decades. It's a known dangerous location, but rather than putting a great big fence up, aspirationally, what do we want that place to be? And working with the communities and those at risk to understand those concerns. So a really focused approach around that.
This Papanui rock that you've this rock south of Raglan, I've spoken to you about this before. I want to get really honest about this part of the coastline. Is this an area that is fished from? So we fish from the rocks in this area, so it's well known, it's well regarded. There are fish there. Is this where a lot of the recent immigrants end up? Is this where a lot of the sort of communities of immigrants? This is where they go, isn't it?
Yeah, we're seeing. I don't know top of head, but definitely the last handful, maybe the last 7 or 8, have all been of Asian origin, and a number have been Filipino migrant dairy workers. So not only do we know the details about that information now, but we're starting to build up better profiles of actually where within the communities they live in, and, where home is, so that, those schools that have the higher populations, that we're able to engage with the school-age kids there, but also send the right messages to parents, and also working with groups like the Federated Farmers and help them get messages out to their workers. Now, it's the only headland in quite a distance to get out for a good rockfish. So I understand, and I was there a few weeks ago. It's a bloody precarious walk to get down there in the first place. It's 20 minutes from the car park down, and it's hard work. If you're going to go there, and you've made that commitment to go there for a fish, and there's a sign up at the entranceway that says 20 people have died here, be careful. That's not going to change your mind. You've invested that time and energy to be there, and we as generally older males don't believe that's going to be us anyway, so we'll go down and fish in any conditions. So that's part of the problem as well.